Hi, my name is Miss Tomlinson, and I am your student's math teacher. So your student might be in 7th grade or 8th grade, and I teach both sections. I have a presentation put together for you to look through that I'm going to share with you. And this is to give you an overview of what happens in our math classes, what everything looks like. And then that way, when you come meet with me on back to school night, you can bring some specific questions that you might have about how we do math in this setting, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. All right, so let me share my screen and pull up the presentation. So again, I'm Miss Tomlinson. I teach math in the resource room for 7th and 8th grade. That gives us a smaller setting. It gives me more time to be able to help students on an individual basis as much as possible. I've been in education for 20 years. 13 of those years I have taught in Buna. I have a Master's of Arts in Special Education, along with a preschool to 8th grade certification, highly qualified in math and language arts. And I also have my supervisor certification. So if you are in my 7th grade class, that's pod 7 to 11, and that's from 9:15 to 10:30. So our Wednesdays meetings are through Google Meets, and they occur at 9:15 to 9:35. 8th grade math students are in pods 22 to 26. So that's from 1 p.m. to 2:15 p.m. So those Wednesday meetings in Google Meets are from 1 to 1:20. Classroom expectations. So it's really helpful if students all have a notebook that they can take notes for their math in. We're not giving out a lot of papers, so they do need to write things down, especially if students are cohort C and they're home all the time right now. If they keep all of their notes in one place, write things down, and then write down the examples as I go through them, it'll really help them understand the material. Every day for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I put up a daily lesson. And that's all kind of housed in a Pear Deck format. And Pear Deck is a Google Slides extension. And I'll go through all of this in a little while so you can see exactly what Pear Deck looks like. So we do the Google Slides Pear Deck as the lesson parts. And then the daily assignment is also in a Google Slide format, and that's set up so the students can just type the answers right in there and then turn it in through the Google Classroom. And then we'll also be using Freckle this year. It's a platform that has practice problems, quick checks. It also has real life scenarios that the kids can kind of do some more problem solving in. Math topics this year are integers, equations and inequalities, rational numbers, ratios, proportions and percents, probability, and geometry. Geometry and algebra get woven all the way through all of the units, so you'll always see variables and solving for variables, and then we try to apply everything in a geometry setting because geometry relates to all different areas of math. 8th grade, we do multi-step equations, irrational numbers, transformations, systems of equations, and square root scientific notation. So again, it's an extension of number operations at a higher level. It's increasing the understanding of equations with the multi-step and the systems, which is 2 equations together. And transformation brings in that geometry and algebra piece again as we move shapes around a coordinate plane. Grading, district-wide, we have a grading right now, 50% practice and 50% assessments. So practice every day includes the Pear Deck, which has your do now notes and checks for understandings, and then also the daily assignments. The assessments will be quizzes and tests, and they'll be done on an electronic technology format. This is what our weekly Google Classroom looks like. So every week I start a new week and I put the date of the week there. And then as the assignments are assigned, they pop up underneath that week. So you can see Monday is due Tuesday, Tuesday is due Wednesday, and they'll be in there every week for the whole week. Also in all of the students' Google Classrooms is a section of resources, information, and assistance. So as we've been going along, if there's been information where the students need to access a lot or something that will help them out, I've created a materials placeholder housing place for all of this, and I put it in there. So you can see right now, in some of the classes, there's a multiplication chart, there's terms for digital learning, there's the Freckle class code right there. So this is the beginning of what Pear Deck looks like. Pear Deck is a PowerPoint Google slide, and then it's interactive. So I'm trying to keep the same format for our lessons so the students get used to consistency, because I know they're having a lot of different things kind of thrown at them right now. So I figure if we establish consistency in the beginning, it'll ease the comfort of what we're doing every day. So the beginning of the lesson, they will do a check of yesterday's assignment. Now, when they turn in the assignment, I do also provide feedback right in the assignment. I mark it right in the Google slide. I add comments, but this is another check again for them to look at it and see what the right answers were. And then if it was something complicated, I also include a video of the steps so that they can check their steps and see where their mistakes were. Then there's a do now. So it's kind of like a warm up, something quick to activate everybody's minds to get into the math frame. So it's something that they should already know how to do. And then they are given a space over here on the right to be able to enter their answer. After they're done the do now, they need to go back to the Google Classroom and copy the notes for today in their notebook. It's really helpful if they set that frame up before getting into the lesson videos so that they can just take notes as we're going along, just like if they were in class with me and we were doing live instruction. You'll notice in these slides here, this one especially has this headphones over at the bottom right-hand corner. All of the slides that need some kind of talking or oral instruction, I add audio. So all the student has to do is click on the headphones, a little window will pop up and they click play and they'll hear me talking. So I try to add the oral hearing directions as well as the reading directions for our different types of learners. When we're ready to start the lesson, I put a video in there to go through all of the steps so that students can see what I am doing as I'm solving the problem. And not only do I do the steps, I also talk my way through it so they can get a sense of what I'm thinking about as I'm solving the problem. I try to talk through my thinking as much as possible so that they will hopefully adopt that thought process that I've grown over the years in doing these math problems, and that it'll help them to solve the problem when it comes their turn to solve it. Then they have a chance to try some on their own. So there will be directions here, again, audio, and the problem with a space for them to answer. Now, as they're doing the problems, if I happen to be online and get notification that they're doing them, I can go in real time and I can provide feedback. I can add a star if it's correct, or I can add a comment if it's not correct. I can also do this later, and students should be going back into the Pear Deck and checking the responses to see if I've left any comments. After they do the checks for understandings, I give them the answers and I show them how to do it in case they got something wrong and they don't know what they did wrong. This way, again, it's important that they have the notebook and they write down their steps so that they can check their work against mine, and it'll really help them find their mistakes. And then they have a chance to let me know how they did, if they got them all correct. If they made a mistake and they figured it out, that's good. That's really, really good, because that means that they were really trying to analyze what I did and what they did and make that comparison. And if they're not sure how to do anything at all, this is their opportunity to let me know so that I can send them a message and figure out what we're not understanding and what we need to talk about. After all of the lesson and practice is done, I give them a different video about that math subject. I'm not the only person who teaches math, and other teachers have different ways of explaining things, and your student may find a different way of hearing something better than the way I'm explaining it. So I give them that opportunity to look at the problems from a different point of view. And sometimes that helps. So I encourage students that if they're struggling and not getting it right, to look at these extra additional videos. And then this is the daily assignment. So when they're all done the Pear Deck, they go back into the Google Classroom, and the assignment's in there. And this is also set up in a Google slide. And these blue boxes that are here allow for the input of text. So all the student has to do is click twice in the blue box and type in the answer, and then I'll be able to see it. They don't have to, save the file or anything. Everything's done in Google Classroom. When they're done, they just have to click turn it in. And again, I can mark it if it's wrong by typing on it as well. I can add some notes, hey, you missed a negative sign here, or double check your math with a calculator here, and they can see that feedback. Sometimes it's important that I see all of the steps that they're doing, writing things out. So I'll ask them to submit a picture in a Google slide. And that's really easy to do. I'll even leave spaces in some of the homeworks for them to create a picture or add a picture to it, because I definitely need to see their work. We do a little bit more involved math than just, adding 2 + 2. So there's steps that I need to analyze. So if they go into Google Slide and click Insert Image and go to Camera, the camera pops up on the Chromebook, and all they have to do is hold the picture up to the camera, or hold the paper up to the camera, so they can take a picture of their work, and then it can get inserted right into the Google Slide. That was a little confusing. There is a section in the Google Classroom assistance that goes through all of this step by step. It's typed out, and I did a video demonstration for them. Best way to get in touch with me is email. My email is mtomlinson@buna.k12.nj.us. I will also reach out to you by email and phone calls. Every Friday afternoon, I'm going to try and do a general classroom update, some things that you should know about, some things we need to make sure we're keeping a track of. And always check your ON course. I try to keep grades as updated as much as possible. So that's one of the best ways to keep track of how your students are doing. And again, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I do hope to see everybody at Back to School Night. It is Tuesday the 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. So I know that was a lot of information. Again, please join me Tuesday night for Back to School Night. And then this way, if you have any questions, I can answer them for you. See you later.